Sam always tried to keep his life simple. He worked from home, lived in a quiet neighborhood, and spent most of his free time with his service dog, Bella. Bella was not just a pet. She was trained to help Sam with his medical condition. She could sense when he was about to have an episode and warn him before it became dangerous. For Sam, Bella was more than family. She was his lifeline. The neighborhood, however, was not always peaceful. The houses were run by an association called the HOA. They had strict rules about lawns, fences, noise, and even the kind of mailboxes people could have. Most people followed the rules quietly, but there was one resident who always seemed to take things too far. Her name was Karen. Karen believed she was the guardian of the neighborhood. She walked around almost every day, holding a clipboard, looking for things to complain about. If someone's grass grew a little too tall, she would write a note. If a car was parked too close to the curb, she would take a picture. She treated the HOA rules as if they were laws. And if someone did not follow her orders, she made sure to remind them again and again. Sam had tried to stay polite with Karen. He believed that ignoring small problems was better than starting a fight. But Karen seemed to have made him and Bella her new target. At first, she complained that Bella left paw prints on the sidewalk. Then she said Bella's leash was too long. Another day she accused Sam of letting Bella bark too much, even though Bella was calm most of the time. Sam always answered politely. Bella is a service dog. She is trained and quiet. I make sure she does not disturb anyone. But Karen only frowned and wrote something on her clipboard. One warm afternoon, Sam took Bella out for a short walk around the block. The sun was shining, and Bella's tail wagged happily as she walked beside him. She stopped now and then to sniff the grass or look at butterflies. For Sam, these moments were peaceful and healing. As they turned a corner, Sam saw Karen standing near her garden, holding a spray bottle. Her face looked tight with disapproval the moment she spotted Bella. You need to keep that dog away from my property, Karen said sharply. Sam stopped. Bella is a service dog. She is not going near your garden. We're just walking on the sidewalk. Karen's eyes narrowed. That dog is dirty. I've seen it walk on my grass. Dogs carry germs. This is a clean neighborhood. Sam took a deep breath. He had learned to stay calm. She does not go on your grass. She stays with me. Please don't worry. But instead of stepping away, Karen raised the spray bottle. Before Sam could react, she sprayed chemicals toward Bella. The mist caught Bella's fur, and the dog yelped in surprise. Sam quickly pulled her back, shocked. What are you doing? Sam shouted. He crouched to check Bella, brushing her fur where the mist had landed. Bella looked scared, ears down, tail tucked close. Karen crossed her arms. I'm protecting my property. That dog is a threat. If you won't control it, I will. Sam's hands shook, but his voice stayed firm. Bella is a service dog. What you just did could harm her. Do you even know what you sprayed? It's just cleaning solution, Karen said coldly. Dogs should not be walking here anyway. Sam's heart raced. Bella was more than his companion. She was medical support. Hurting her was not only cruel, it was dangerous for him too. He picked up his phone and called the non-emergency police line, explaining what had just happened. Within minutes, a patrol car pulled into the neighborhood. Two officers stepped out, their serious faces showing that they were ready to listen. Sam stood by with Bella, who was still nervous but safe. Karen, however, looked annoyed, as if the police were wasting her time. I'm glad you're here, she said to the officers. This man is letting his dog run wild. I had to protect myself. Sam pointed at Bella, who sat quietly by his side. She is a trained service dog. She never ran wild. She was on the sidewalk with me when this woman sprayed her with chemicals. The officers exchanged looks. One knelt down to check Bella. Is she all right? She's shaken, but I think she's okay, Sam said, his voice tight with worry. I don't know what kind of chemicals she sprayed. This is my service dog. She helps me with my medical condition. Without her, I can't stay safe. Karen huffed. That's dramatic. It was just a spray bottle. Dogs don't belong in neighborhoods like this. The taller officer stood straight and looked at Karen. His tone changed to something sharper. Ma'am, are you aware that interfering with a service dog is a federal offense? Karen froze. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. The confidence she carried every day, the strict voice she used to command neighbors, suddenly disappeared. Sam could see her grip tighten on the spray bottle. Her face went pale. For the first time, she looked unsure of herself. The officer continued, spraying a service dog with chemicals is not just breaking a neighborhood rule. It is a serious crime. You could face charges. Sam held Bella close, his heart pounding. For the first time since moving into the neighborhood, he felt that maybe someone was finally going to stand up to Karen. And Karen, who had always acted like the queen of the block, stood frozen on her own lawn, realizing she had gone too far. The air around them grew heavy after the officer's words. Karen stood frozen, her eyes darting between the police officers and Sam. For once, her confident tone had vanished. She gripped the spray bottle tighter, as if holding it gave her some control. But her shoulders stiffened, and her lips pressed together without a sound. Sam stayed quiet, keeping one hand gently on Bella's back. He could feel her trembling, but she sat still, showing the discipline of her training. Sam whispered softly to her, reassuring her that everything would be all right. Deep down, though, his anger was rising. He had always chosen peace over conflict, but this was different. This was about Bella's safety and about his own life. The officer closest to Karen asked firmly, what exactly was in that bottle? Karen hesitated. It was just, cleaning solution. For my garden tools. The officer raised his eyebrow. Cleaning solution is not safe for dogs. You sprayed it directly on a service animal. Do you realize how serious this is? Karen crossed her arms but avoided eye contact. I didn't mean to harm her. I was only protecting my plants. That dog could have damaged something. Sam finally spoke, his voice controlled but steady. Bella was never near your plants. She was walking beside me on the sidewalk. You chose to spray her. This isn't about protecting your garden. This is about control. The second officer wrote something in his notepad while nodding. We need your full name and ID, ma'am. Karen blinked quickly, as if she had not expected things to go this far. Is that really necessary? I live right here. Everyone knows me. I'm part of the HOA board. That doesn't matter, the officer replied. The law applies to everyone. Especially when it involves a service animal. Karen's face turned red. She reluctantly handed over her ID. The officers wrote down her information carefully, then turned to Sam. Sir, do you want to press charges? The taller officer asked. Sam paused. He looked at Bella, who was still nervous but calm. He thought about the many times Karen had complained about small things, about the endless notes she left, about how he always tried to stay polite. This time was different. Bella was his lifeline, and Karen had crossed a line that could not be ignored. Yes, Sam said at last. I want to file a report. She attacked my service dog, and that could have put my health at risk. The shorter officer nodded. All right. We'll take your statement and make sure this is documented. We'll also call animal control to check Bella, just in case. Hearing this, Karen's eyes widened. Animal control? That's unnecessary. The dog looks fine. The officer looked straight at her. We are not taking chances when it comes to a service animal. The law requires us to follow protocol. Karen finally dropped the spray bottle onto the grass. Her hands shook slightly, though she tried to hide it by pressing them to her sides. For the first time, Sam noticed a crack in her usual confidence. The neighbors had started to gather quietly from their porches. Whispers carried through the air. People who had once feared Karen's strict notes and endless complaints were now watching her face consequences. One neighbor, an older man named Ahmed, stepped closer. I saw the whole thing, he told the officers. Sam was just walking his dog on the sidewalk. Bella didn't go near her garden. Karen sprayed her without reason. Another neighbor, a woman named Nina, nodded. I saw it too. Bella is always calm. She never causes trouble. Karen went too far this time. Karen's head snapped toward them. You don't understand. I was protecting my space. But her words sounded weaker than before. The weight of the law, the witnesses, and the cold stares of her neighbors pressed down on her. The taller officer finished writing notes and turned back to Sam. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow to give a full statement. For now, we'll file this as interference with a service animal, which is a federal offense. Depending on the investigation, charges will follow. Sam nodded slowly. Thank you. I just want Bella safe. That's all that matters to me. Bella leaned gently against his leg, as if she understood his words. Sam stroked her head, feeling both relief and exhaustion. The officers gave Karen a final warning. Until this investigation is complete, do not approach Sam or his dog. Any further actions will only make this worse for you. Karen opened her mouth as if to argue, but no sound came. Her usual commanding voice had disappeared. She stood silent while the officers walked back to their patrol car. The crowd of neighbors began to disperse, but the whispers lingered. Many looked at Sam with supportive nods. A few even smiled at Bella, who wagged her tail weakly as if thanking them for their kindness. When Sam finally walked home, Bella stayed close to him. His hands still shook from the stress, but inside he felt a sense of change. For the first time, the control Karen held over the neighborhood seemed broken. People had seen what happened. People had spoken up. That night, Sam sat on his couch with Bella curled at his side. He thought about what the officers had said. Filing charges was not something he ever imagined doing, but he knew it was right. Bella's safety mattered more than avoiding conflict. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet again. But Sam knew tomorrow would bring new challenges. Karen was not the kind of person to accept defeat easily. And while she had been silent today, her silence was not the end. It was only the beginning of something larger. The morning after the incident, Sam woke up with a heavy mind. The image of Karen spraying Bella replayed in his head again and again. Bella, however, seemed calmer. She wagged her tail when Sam got up, following him into the kitchen as if to remind him that she was strong and ready for the day. Sam made a simple breakfast, fed Bella, and then sat at the table. He thought about the station visit he had to make later to give a full statement. It was not something he wanted to do, but it was something he had to do. The officers had been clear. This was serious, and it needed to be handled properly. Meanwhile, only a few houses down, Karen sat in her living room staring at the same spray bottle she had used the day before. Her mind was restless. She had always been the one in control of the neighborhood. People listened to her because they feared her complaints. Now the same neighbors had turned against her. Even worse, the police had treated her like a criminal. She paced back and forth. They don't understand, she muttered to herself. That dog is trouble. He's using it to get sympathy. But deep inside, she felt a pinch of fear. The officer's words still echoed in her ears. Federal offense. She had thought the HOA rules were the highest power in the neighborhood, but now she realized there were bigger laws that even she could not bend. Karen sat down and picked up her phone. She called another member of the HOA board, a woman named Rita. "Rita, it's Karen," she said quickly. "We need to talk about the man with the dog. He's causing problems." Rita sighed on the other end. "Karen, I heard what happened yesterday. Everyone is talking about it. Why did you spray his service dog? That was not right." Karen's voice sharpened. "You don't understand. The dog is dangerous. It leaves fur, it spreads germs, and now he's turning the whole neighborhood against me. We have to use the HOA rules to stop him before this gets worse." But Rita sounded tired. "No, Karen. You're making it worse yourself. The police came. You should just leave him and his dog alone." Karen hung up the call without saying goodbye. Her frustration grew. If the board would not stand with her, she would handle it herself. She was not going to let Sam make her look weak. Later that afternoon, Sam walked into the police station with Bella by his side. The officer at the desk greeted him and led him into a small room where he could give his statement. Sam explained everything that had happened, from the walk to the spraying to the moment Karen froze when told about the federal crime. The officer listened carefully, wrote notes, and finally said, "Thank you for coming in, Mr. Sam. We'll keep this on record. The investigation will continue. If you notice any more harassment, call us immediately." Sam nodded. "I will. I just want Bella safe." When he returned home, he felt a little lighter. But as he walked up his driveway, he noticed something unusual. A folded paper was stuck to his door. He pulled it off and opened it. It was a warning letter from the HOA. It said that Bella was creating disturbances and that Sam had failed to maintain neighborhood standards. If he did not correct the problem, he could face fines. Sam's jaw tightened. He knew who was behind this. Karen. Even after the police warning, she had found another way to fight him. Bella sat beside him, tilting her head as if sensing his stress. Sam bent down and stroked her ears. "Don't worry, girl. We'll handle this. We're not alone." Later that evening, neighbors began stopping by. Ahmed came first. He handed Sam a small bag of treats for Bella. "For her," he said warmly. "She's a good dog. Don't let Karen scare you." Then Nina came with her daughter. They petted Bella gently, smiling. "We're on your side, Sam. If the HOA tries anything, we'll speak up." Sam felt his heart ease a little. For so long he had lived quietly, avoiding conflict. Now he realized he was not alone anymore. The neighbors had seen the truth, and they were ready to support him. But across the street, Karen watched from her window. Her anger deepened as she saw people visiting Sam, showing kindness to Bella. In her eyes, this was not just about a dog anymore. This was about her authority. And she was not ready to lose it. That night, she pulled out a notebook and began writing. Page after page, she listed every small thing she had noticed about Sam since he moved in. The way his grass sometimes grew uneven, the time his trash bin stayed out an extra day, the noise from his delivery packages. She planned to turn every detail into a violation. In her mind, it was not harassment. It was protecting the community. But deep down, she knew it was personal. Sam had embarrassed her, and she was determined to take back control. While Sam tried to relax with Bella at his side, Karen's plotting continued into the night. She told herself that rules were rules, but in truth, she was building a battle plan. The neighborhood was no longer just a quiet block of houses. It had become a stage for a conflict between control and justice. And as the days moved forward, the lines between them would only grow clearer. The next few days felt different in the neighborhood. Sam noticed how some neighbors looked at him with sympathy while others looked away as if afraid of being caught choosing sides. The incident with Karen had spread quickly, and now the block was divided between those tired of her control and those still afraid of her notes and complaints. One morning, as Sam was drinking tea on his porch, he saw a white envelope tucked under his door. He picked it up and opened it. Inside was another HOA notice. It claimed that Bella's leash was too long and that Sam needed to keep her under stricter control. The letter threatened a fine if he did not comply. Sam shook his head. Bella's leash was standard size, approved for service dogs. He knew this was not about the leash. This was Karen finding new ways to attack him. Later that day, he walked Bella around the block. She walked calmly beside him, as always. But when they passed Karen's house, she stepped outside with her arms crossed. "You should read your notices carefully," Karen said coldly. "Rules exist for a reason. If you can't follow them, maybe this isn't the right place for you." Sam stopped but kept his voice calm. "Bella is a service dog. She follows the law. Your notices don't change that." Karen's lips tightened. "The HOA has standards. If you won't follow them, you'll face the consequences." Sam shook his head and walked on. He did not want to waste his breath arguing with someone who refused to listen. But Karen was not done. That evening, she sent out an email to the entire neighborhood. In it, she claimed Sam was disruptive, that Bella posed risks, and that she was only trying to maintain the community's safety. When Ahmed read the email, he walked over to Sam's house, clearly upset. "She's twisting everything," Ahmed said. "Don't worry, Sam. People like me know the truth. We saw what happened. But you need to be ready. She's not going to stop." Sam nodded. "I expected this. But I won't let her scare me." Meanwhile, Nina gathered a few neighbors together and suggested something new. "If Karen uses the HOA to attack Sam, then we should use our voices to protect him. The HOA is supposed to serve us, not control us." A few agreed, but others hesitated. Karen had a long history of writing complaints, and people feared fines or trouble. Still, for the first time, there was talk of resisting her. On the third day after the spraying incident, Sam received another notice. This time, it accused him of letting Bella make noise at night. Sam frowned. Bella was trained not to bark unless there was danger. She had never barked at night. Sam decided to take action. He bought a small camera for his porch and set it up facing his yard. If Karen or anyone else tried to make false claims, he would have proof. Bella wagged her tail curiously as he tested the camera. "Don't worry, girl," he said, patting her head. "We'll show the truth." That night, while the neighborhood slept, Karen was awake. She walked slowly past Sam's house, glancing at the porch. In her hand was a notebook where she kept a list of violations. She muttered to herself, writing notes even in the dark. But the small camera on Sam's porch blinked quietly, recording her every move. The next morning, Sam checked the footage and saw her wandering near his yard. He saved the video. It was proof that Karen was watching him too closely. Later, at the mailbox, Nina walked up with a smile. "Good morning, Sam. How's Bella today?" "She's good," Sam said warmly. "I'm more worried about Karen's notices than anything else." Nina leaned closer and whispered, "Some of us are meeting tonight at my place. We want to talk about what's been happening. Maybe it's time to stand together." Sam agreed to join. That evening, he went to Nina's house with Bella. Inside, a small group of neighbors gathered. Ahmed was there, along with 2 other families. They shared tea and spoke quietly. "We've all seen how Karen treats people," Ahmed said. "She uses the HOA like a weapon. She scares us with rules that don't make sense. But now she's gone too far. Spraying a service dog is something no one can defend. Another neighbor, Farah, nodded. If we don't stand with Sam, she'll think she can do anything. We should write our own statement to the HOA, supporting him. If enough of us sign, the board will have to listen. Sam listened quietly. For the first time, he felt that maybe this fight was not his alone. Bella lay at his feet, calm but alert, as if she too sensed the importance of this gathering. While they planned, Karen sat alone in her house. She read the HOA rules again and again, circling lines she thought she could use against Sam. Her anger grew sharper. She believed she was protecting the neighborhood, but deep down, she feared losing her control. That night, as Sam walked home with Bella, he looked at the quiet houses and thought about the meeting. Maybe things were starting to change. Maybe Karen's grip on the neighborhood was beginning to weaken. But he also knew Karen would not give up easily. She had already shown how far she was willing to go. And if she felt her power slipping, she might try something even more extreme. The quiet block no longer felt the same. Where once neighbors greeted each other with short smiles and small talks about weather, now they whispered in groups, keeping their eyes on Karen's house or on Sam's porch where Bella often sat calmly. The spraying incident had shaken the balance of the street, and people were beginning to choose sides. Sam spent his mornings walking Bella, making sure she stayed healthy and happy. He also checked his porch camera every day, saving clips whenever Karen passed by. Sometimes she walked slowly, glaring at his house. Sometimes she wrote things in her notebook. Each video added to the pile of proof Sam was keeping. One afternoon, another HOA notice arrived. This one said Sam's grass was half an inch too long. Sam almost laughed when he read it. He had mowed the yard just 2 days before. The notice was not about grass. It was about harassment. Sam walked over to Ahmed's house, letter in hand. Ahmed read it and shook his head. She's not even hiding it anymore. She's using the HOA to punish you. I know, Sam said quietly. But I won't back down. Bella depends on me, and I'll protect her no matter what. That evening, Sam went to another neighbor meeting at Nina's house. This time more people showed up. Some came quietly, looking over their shoulders as if afraid Karen might see them. They all sat in the living room, speaking in low voices. Nina began, "We can't let Karen keep controlling us like this. She's crossed the line with Sam and Bella, but she's been controlling all of us for years. We need to act together." Farah held up her phone. "I drafted a petition. If we all sign it, we can send it to the HOA board. We'll demand they review Karen's behavior. If enough of us sign, they'll have to listen." The neighbors nodded. Some looked nervous, but most looked determined. Ahmed turned to Sam. "We'll stand with you. But we need you to be part of this too. You've been calm, you've handled everything with patience. That will help us show the board who's right." Sam agreed. He felt a wave of relief. For the first time in weeks, he did not feel alone. Bella wagged her tail at his side, as if sensing the hope in the room. Meanwhile, Karen was not staying still. She sat in her living room, staring at the HOA rulebook. She had written a list of supposed violations for Sam, filling 2 whole pages. She planned to present them at the next board meeting, using her position to push for fines or even removal of Bella. In her mind, it was not about the dog anymore. It was about power. She could not allow Sam to win. If he did, she feared she would lose the control she had built over the years. The night before the board meeting, Sam sat with Bella on the porch. He stroked her head slowly. "Tomorrow will be important," he whispered. "We'll face her, but we won't be alone." Bella pressed against him, calm as always. Her presence gave him courage. The next evening, the HOA board meeting was held in the small community hall near the park. Chairs were lined up, and neighbors filled the room quickly. Sam sat near the front with Bella lying quietly at his feet. Ahmed, Nina, and Farah sat close by. Karen entered with her usual confidence, carrying her thick notebook. She walked straight to the board members, greeting them as if she were the most important person in the room. The meeting began with routine issues: maintenance fees, landscaping plans, but the tension in the room grew as everyone waited for the topic that had divided the street. Finally, one of the board members cleared his throat. "We've received multiple complaints regarding a resident and his service dog," the board member said. "Karen, you asked to speak on this." Karen stood up quickly. She opened her notebook and began listing violations. She spoke about grass, about noise, about Bella's leash, even about footprints on the sidewalk. Her voice was sharp, and she spoke as if every word was fact. But as she went on, the room grew restless. People shifted in their seats. Some shook their heads. When she finished, she looked pleased, certain she had made her case. Then Ahmed stood up. "With respect, I was there when Karen sprayed Sam's service dog. Bella did nothing wrong. Sam was walking her on the sidewalk. Karen acted without reason." Nina followed. "I saw it too. Bella is quiet and calm. She's never caused trouble. Karen is using the HOA to target Sam unfairly." Farah held up the petition. "We, the residents, signed this letter. We want the board to review Karen's actions, not Sam's. We believe the HOA should protect the community, not allow one person to use it for personal grudges." Murmurs filled the room. More neighbors nodded and voiced agreement. Even those who had stayed silent before now spoke up, sharing small stories of how Karen had harassed them in the past. Sam finally stood. His voice was calm but steady. "I moved here to live in peace. Bella is my service dog. She helps me every day. I've tried to follow every rule, but Karen crossed a line when she sprayed her with chemicals. That wasn't just about rules. That was about cruelty. I've given my statement to the police. I don't want conflict, but I won't let anyone harm Bella." The board members looked at each other, clearly surprised by the strong support for Sam. For the first time, Karen's authority seemed weak. Her face turned pale as she watched neighbors she once controlled speak out against her. The board announced they would review the matter formally and give a decision soon. The meeting ended with whispers, but one thing was clear: the neighborhood was no longer silent under Karen's shadow. Sam walked home with Bella by his side, feeling lighter. For the first time, he believed the truth was beginning to shine through. But deep inside, he knew Karen would not accept defeat easily. And as he glanced back, he saw her standing outside the hall, gripping her notebook with a hard expression. This was not over. The week after the board meeting felt different for everyone in the neighborhood. For years, Karen had walked the streets with her clipboard, speaking loudly and making people nervous. Now she walked slower. The neighbors no longer greeted her with forced smiles. Instead, they watched her carefully, whispering to each other when she passed. Sam noticed the change too. When he walked Bella in the mornings, neighbors waved or stopped to pet her. They spoke kindly, showing their support. Bella wagged her tail happily, sensing the warmth around her. But Karen was restless. She sat at home, flipping through her notebook full of violations. For the first time, the board had not agreed with her right away. Instead, they had promised to review everything, including her actions. The thought of being investigated made her chest tighten. She told herself she was the one protecting the community, but the way people now avoided her made her doubt. One morning, Karen received a letter from the HOA board. She tore it open quickly, expecting support. Instead, the letter said they were opening a formal inquiry into her behavior. They would review her role on the board, including the incident with the service dog. Until the review was complete, she was suspended from making complaints on behalf of the HOA. Karen's hands shook as she read the words. Suspended, she whispered. "They can't do this to me." She stormed out of her house, walking down the street. But as she passed by, she noticed the quiet stairs. People whispered, but no one stepped closer. She felt alone in a place where she had once felt powerful. Meanwhile, Sam was at home preparing lunch. Bella sat near the window, ears perked as if she sensed something outside. Sam looked too and saw Karen pacing near the street. He sighed, shaking his head. He had expected she would not let things go easily. Later that day, Sam received a call from the police officer he had spoken with earlier. "Mr. Sam, we've reviewed your statement and the witness accounts. We've also confirmed Bella is a registered service dog. The investigation is moving forward. The woman who sprayed her may face charges." Sam felt relief but also concern. "Thank you, officer. I just want to make sure Bella stays safe." "You did the right thing by reporting it," the officer said. "If she bothers you again, call us immediately." After the call, Sam sat quietly with Bella, stroking her head. He thought about how far things had come. He had always avoided conflict, but now he was in the center of a neighborhood battle. Yet he was not alone anymore, and that gave him strength. That evening, Nina knocked on his door. She carried a plate of food and a kind smile. "For you and Bella," she said. "We're all proud of you for standing up. People have wanted to speak out against Karen for a long time. You gave them courage." Sam smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Nina. I couldn't have done it without the support of everyone." While neighbors built stronger bonds, Karen sat alone in her living room. The silence of her house felt louder than ever. Her phone, once buzzing with HOA matters, stayed quiet. Even Rita, her fellow board member, no longer returned her calls. Karen opened her notebook and flipped through the pages of complaints she had written about Sam. Each note now looked weaker, smaller. She realized they might even be used against her in the board's inquiry. Her confidence cracked further. At night, she stared out of her window at the quiet street. She saw Sam walking Bella under the streetlights, neighbors greeting him warmly. The sight filled her with both anger and fear. She had always been the center of control, but now she was the outsider. The following weekend, the HOA board called for a special meeting. Everyone in the neighborhood was invited. The community hall filled again. This time, Karen sat in the back, not at the front with the board. Her notebook rested in her lap, but she did not open it. The board members spoke clearly. "We have reviewed the situation involving Sam, his service dog Bella, and Karen. After speaking with witnesses, we believe Karen's actions were inappropriate and harmful. Spraying chemicals on a service dog is unacceptable. The police investigation will continue, but as for the HOA, we will be voting on her position on the board." Gasps filled the room. Karen sat stiff, her face pale. The board continued, "Additionally, we have reviewed the complaints she has filed recently. Many were unfounded. Moving forward, the HOA will no longer accept complaints from Karen without evidence. This community deserves fairness, not fear." One by one, the board members raised their hands to vote. The decision was clear. Karen was removed from her position on the HOA board. Whispers filled the room again, but this time they carried a different tone. People looked relieved. Some even clapped softly. Ahmed smiled at Sam and whispered, "Finally." Karen stood suddenly, clutching her notebook. Her eyes moved across the room, but instead of respect, she saw disappointment, frustration, even pity. She turned quickly and walked out without a word. Sam sat quietly with Bella at his feet. He felt no joy in her fall, only peace that the truth had been seen. The fight was not about power, it was about safety and fairness. Bella leaned against him, steady as always, reminding him that calm strength wins in the end. That night, the neighborhood felt lighter. Children played outside, neighbors chatted, and for once the block did not feel under Karen's shadow. But deep inside, Sam knew the story was not yet finished. The police investigation was still ongoing, and Karen's silence could mean anything. For now, though, he let himself rest. Bella lay beside him on the porch, the cool night breeze brushing against them. For the first time since the trouble began, Sam breathed freely, knowing he was no longer standing alone. Weeks passed since the HOA board meeting. Sam and Bella returned to their routines, enjoying peaceful walks through the neighborhood. The sun felt warmer, the air fresher, and the streets calmer without Karen controlling every detail. Neighbors greeted Sam with smiles and waves, and Bella wagged her tail happily at everyone she passed. But the police investigation was still ongoing. Sam knew it would take time for the legal process to be completed. He stayed patient, trusting that the truth and the law would protect him and Bella. One bright morning, Sam received a call from the officer who had been handling the case. "Mr. Sam, the investigation has concluded. We have sufficient evidence regarding the incident with your service dog. Karen may face federal charges for interfering with a service animal. We wanted to inform you first." Sam's heart lifted. He looked down at Bella, who tilted her head as if she understood. "We did it, girl," he whispered. "We stood our ground, and now justice is coming." That afternoon, news spread quietly through the neighborhood. Karen, once a commanding presence on the block, had to face the consequences of her actions. Sam noticed a shift in the way people moved around her house. They no longer feared her notes or whispers. Instead, they walked freely, carrying on with their lives without anxiety. Ahmed stopped by Sam's porch later that day. "I heard the news," he said, smiling. "You and Bella did the right thing. Karen may have controlled this neighborhood for years, but the truth always comes out." Sam nodded, brushing Bella's fur gently. "I never wanted trouble. I just wanted to live in peace with Bella. But we couldn't ignore what she did. She crossed a line that could have been dangerous for Bella and me." Nina joined them with a small tray of cookies. "We're proud of you, Sam. You showed everyone that standing calmly for what is right can make a difference. And Bella proved she's amazing too." Bella wagged her tail, looking up at Sam. He smiled and hugged her softly. Her presence had been a source of strength for him through every difficult moment. Over the next few days, the neighborhood began to feel like it had before Karen's influence. The whispers and tension faded, replaced by laughter and casual conversations. Children played freely in the yards, neighbors held small gatherings, and even the HOA meetings felt calmer and more fair. Sam continued walking Bella every morning. Their route remained the same, but now, instead of tense glances toward Karen's house, they received friendly waves from people who had once stayed silent. Even a few neighbors who had been quiet before now spoke with confidence, asking Sam about Bella and sharing small stories from their day. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with orange and pink, Sam sat on his porch with Bella lying beside him. The neighborhood was quiet, peaceful in a way it had not been for weeks. Sam reflected on the events that had changed their lives. He remembered Karen's spray bottle, her constant complaints, the fear she had inspired in neighbors. He thought about the moments he had doubted if he could stand up to her. And he remembered the courage he had found through Bella and the neighbors who had chosen to support him. He realized that standing up for what is right does not always mean being loud or aggressive. Sometimes it means being calm, collecting evidence, and relying on support from those who see the truth. Bella had been his guide, always alert, always steady, showing him the path through fear and uncertainty. Sam looked across the street and noticed Karen's house. She was inside, sitting quietly. Her notebook lay closed. Sam did not feel anger. He felt relief. Justice had been served, and the neighborhood could heal. The next day, the HOA sent a notice confirming Karen's removal from the board and reinforcing that the community rules would be applied fairly to everyone. The letter reminded residents that the HOA existed to protect the community, not to serve personal grudges. When neighbors read the notice, they shared smiles and nods. Ahmed walked over to Sam with a grin. "Finally, fairness is back," he said. Sam smiled back. "Yes, and Bella played her part too. She kept me safe and reminded me to stay calm. Without her, I don't know if I could have done this." As weeks turned into months, life in the neighborhood settled. Karen moved quietly, rarely speaking to others. Sam continued his walks with Bella, and each step felt lighter than before. The neighborhood, once divided by fear and control, grew closer through support and understanding. On a warm afternoon, Sam sat on his porch with Bella in his lap. He watched children run through the street and neighbors talking freely. He felt a sense of peace he had not known for a long time. Bella rested her head on his knee, calm and loyal as ever. Sam knew the lessons from this experience would stay with him. Standing up for what is right, protecting those who cannot protect themselves, and trusting in the support of a community were stronger than fear, anger, or control. And as the sun dipped below the rooftops, Sam whispered to Bella, "We did it, girl. We kept our home safe. We showed them all that calm courage wins in the end." Bella wagged her tail slowly, as if agreeing. Together, they watched the neighborhood, finally free from fear, finally at peace. The end.